Hey everybody, and welcome to another edition of Saturdays on Lonis Lane. Now, as I have said all year, I want chaos. And college football has given me chaos. As always, you have Tyler to my right, Cody to my left. If you haven't already, go ahead and hit that subscribe button for us. If we get so many subscribes, so many views, at some point we'll start getting monetized for this, and we enjoy doing it. We have fun, even if our wives hate us at the end of the day for it. So we hope you enjoy watching. But tonight, what we want to cover is scenarios for at least the top 4 teams in the SEC to make it to the SEC championship game. Now, Cody, I know you would say no team wants to go to the SEC championship game, or any conference game for that matter, because it doesn't mean anything.
I'm not saying no team wants to.
Nobody in the SEC wants to. Because unless you're A&M sitting pretty right now, undefeated, going into, basically a cupcake game this weekend, and then going to play Texas, which, depending on how well Texas plays, they can be the way they played against.
Let's start.
ACC, you need a championship game. But okay, let's start where?
We're going to start right outside of your 4 that you said. Okay, the longest shot, the biggest wild card would be Texas.
Yep.
So, number 5 would be Texas. Yes, they have 2 SEC losses.
Mm-hmm. But they would have to win out, beating A&M. I think this is...
But it's even bigger than that, because Alabama would have to lose. Georgia's SEC play is done. So, but Ole Miss would have to lose to Mississippi State.
No, this is an old one, so that would not work.
No,
because I think they're out. So I think 4 are the only ones.
Yeah, it's just a 4.
The ones that I sent you.
These are absolutes. Absolutes. This is what would have to happen to go. A&M just has to beat Texas. They'd have to win out. Alabama, for Alabama to go, they would have to beat Auburn, and without a tiebreaker, Texas would have to beat A&M, or Mississippi State would have to beat Ole Miss. If Texas beats A&M, here's the problem with that: you have 4 teams tied for first place, all at 7-1, with Alabama, Ole Miss, A&M, and Georgia.
But the issue is Alabama beat Georgia.
But you don't. Here's the problem with that: if you're looking at head-to-head, it has to be head-to-head across the board.
Right.
So you can't go to head-to-head unless you find a common thing across the board. So if you are sitting here, and I watched the video, and this is how they explained it. There are 4 bullet points that kind of go. At first, it goes to head-to-head. But if all 3 don't go head-to-head, then you have to go to B. And then it goes to records against common opponents.
Yep.
Well, Alabama, Georgia, Ole Miss does not all 3 have a common opponent. Alabama plays Oklahoma. Ole Miss plays Oklahoma. Georgia does not. Alabama plays Tennessee. Georgia plays Tennessee. Ole Miss does not. So there are common opponents between some of them, but not all 3 have the same common opponent. So you go point B. You got to go to C. And then it's another records of common opponents. So whoever would have the highest
record versus highest placed common opponents.
And then you go to D, which is record versus SEC opponents. Is that right?
Cumulative conference winning percentage of all conference opponents among tied teams. So, if we look back, who's got the strongest strength of schedule, and that would have to be the first one, right? I mean, that's kind of how you have to look at it.
So what would happen would be, if you look at it that way, Alabama and Georgia have a very similar, like you're off by, a couple hundredths of a percent, not hundred, but tenths. No, it'd be hundredths of a percent. Mm-hmm. On that, because they're both at like 400 and something percent. So just below 500. But you go to Ole Miss, it's like they're 20 and 30 with their SEC schedule. So that would take Ole Miss out, which leaves Alabama and Georgia. Now, if that was to tie, Alabama and Georgia, then you would go to
Back to
head-to-head. So right now, as it sits, A&M, if they win out, goes to the SEC championship no matter what.
Yep.
If everything plays out, Alabama wins out, Georgia is done with their SEC schedule. Ole Miss only has Mississippi State left in the Egg Bowl. What better way to end college football with the 3 games that are going to consider who goes to the SEC championship game being Ole Miss, Mississippi State in the Egg Bowl, Alabama, Auburn in the Iron Bowl, and Texas A&M. 3 big rivalries right after we get filled eating our Thanksgiving turkey.
I always look forward to the Egg Bowl. I love watching it, and it was obviously a lot more fun when what's his name was the head coach.
Mike Leach.
Mike Leach was the head coach there at Mississippi State. But that's normally Thursday night, right?
Yeah, it's a Thursday night.
That's a Thursday night game, I believe, every year.
I'll
I'm pretty sure.
It has been in recent years. I know it's always likely to change, but
Tell us what that Friday, if there's a Friday night game this week.
Friday night is the Ole Miss,
Oh, so it is
Mississippi State. That's 12 o'clock Friday.
Friday.
Georgia plays at 3:30 against Georgia Tech. 7:30 is Texas A&M and Texas.
Okay.
So
is there a Thursday game at all?
no Thursday game. So there's 2 games right there on Friday night, or Friday in general, that could potentially be like, all right, well, here we go. And then you have Saturday in the SEC. You got Alabama playing at 7:30.
So what does Ole Miss need?
Ole Miss has to win. Texas has to beat A&M, and Auburn has to beat Alabama.
Because if you look at it like that, A&M has the weaker schedule.
Yeah,
In the SEC play, they have the weaker schedule. Now, I know they beat Notre Dame,
but it's not the SEC.
but that's not an SEC opponent. So, if Texas can beat A&M, Mississippi State would get the nod because, Ole Miss, would get the nod because you'd have to go all the way back down to that not common opponent, but overall record of SEC play. Chaos.
Yeah.
Now, Cody, you're going to sit here, you're going to say, it's better if you don't play. It's better if you don't play in this game, unless you have the bye.
It's better if you don't play unless you're A&M, because they have a game. They have a game to play with. At the moment, if they win out, they've got a game to play with. It doesn't really matter. You never know. You're putting the human element in it. You never know what the committee is going to do. They can say whatever they want to until they're blue in the face. I can't, with the human element put into it, it's extremely hard to believe that they don't look and view the conference championship game just a little bit. And if that's the case, why don't they do the selection show before the conference championship games? That way it doesn't matter.
Well, they have to wait till after the conference championship games because you're automatically
ACC.
putting the ACC in. You're also putting the Power 5, which could be Navy, or it could be
Group of five.
Northern
Group of
Texas.
five,
Is it
sorry.
North Texas?
North Texas, Navy, Memphis, South Florida, just depending on how everything falls that way.
Well, South Florida plays Navy this weekend, right?
That was last week.
It was last weekend.
Oh, no, they play Memphis this
They played
week.
Memphis this weekend.
Okay.
So if South Florida beats Memphis, I believe South Florida is going to potentially get that nod in there with Navy.
Not
Or
South
is it
Florida. Navy beats Memphis.
Navy beats Memphis. Navy automatically gets that bid to go for the conference title. Which, for them, it kind of helps them out because they'll play Army
After the conference championship.
after the conference championship game. So you have 1 week of bye, so they're continuing to keep going if they were able to get in.
And it was crazy. That game would not, the way the selection committee is, that game would not affect
No.
the playoffs.
And they could lose it and technically should have been out if
Yeah.
they were in it.
Which is not a conference game, I don't think, is it? Is Army and Navy in the
But
same
it's
conference?
still a scheduled game. It's not like
It's
they
a-
play 13 games
it's
instead of 12th game.
Yeah, I mean, they have to wait until after that game to this year.
So the reason you couldn't do it that way, Cody, is by doing it before. If you have it this way, where there's not an ACC team in the top 12, you've got Georgia Tech, Virginia, Miami, all sitting there on the outside. One of them's got to make it in.
Yeah.
It's just going to be the highest ranked.
Well,
It's
it
gonna
wouldn't
be
be
the
the
high-
highest ranked. It would have to be the conference champion.
Because what if Georgia Tech's the highest rank and then they go in there and fluke and get beat by, we'll say, Louisville?
Because you remember last year, Clemson was in the 20s, won the ACC championship game. Them and SMU got in over Alabama, who were sitting at 13.
I mean, I'd have to look at it again. I was pretty sure it was just the highest rank. That the conference champion is not an automatic bid.
It's not an automatic buy. It's,
It's not an automatic buy anymore.
you have it. You
But
have an
it wasn't-
automatic bid, but you don't have the automatic buy.
It wasn't that they had an automatic buy last year. Conference champions, a conference champion was going to be, if you were there, 4 of the 5 was going to be an automatic buy. Boise State was the one who was able to sneak in and get that 4th seed last year,
Yeah.
while both Clemson and SMU had to play.
Yeah, I got you.
So, but back to the SEC, we've got a heck of a mess,
Yeah.
and really one game apiece for everybody to figure it out.
Mm-hmm.
And don't forget, you still have
Which Georgia doesn't have another SEC opponent, correct?
Georgia does not. No, they have
So they're
they could lose both games, and this doesn't change the SEC championship game.
no. And then they can still potentially go to the SEC and still win it and still get the but they won't get the bye. They'll be in the lower seeds
Definitely.
or higher seeds. Sorry, depending on how you look at
But
that.
if they lost both games, they're not making. They wouldn't make it into the. They wouldn't make it to college.
If they won the SEC, they would.
But if they were to lose both, and then Alabama gets beat by Auburn, Texas beats Texas A&M, Georgia goes in, wins the SEC championship, they'll get the automatic bid, not the automatic bye.
Hey, you want to hear something crazy?
What?
Texas A&M loses to Texas, and everybody else wins. It's a Georgia-Alabama matchup in the SEC championship game
Yep. In Atlanta.
in Atlanta.
Oh boy. And,
If A&M loses to Texas, Georgia gets the bye.
Georgia gets the
Georgia gets the bid in.
Texas beats A&M. Yeah.
How crazy would that be? Georgia's thinking they've been out of it ever since, and then you have some fluke game. I say fluke. It's a rivalry game. Alabama could lose to Auburn. Ole Miss could lose to Mississippi State. It could happen, right? So it's going to be very interesting. Guys, it's Thursday night. It's kind of a awkward week. We've had such great weeks going on these past weeks, and it's kind of a lull where everybody kind of can sleep on this week. Be careful. These are the weeks that upsets happen. So, don't get too relaxed. Things could get interesting even this week, but next week, we love next week. As a college football fan, you love next week. You've got Ohio State and Michigan. You've got Alabama and Auburn. You've got Georgia, Georgia Tech, Mississippi State, Ole Miss. You've got Texas and Texas A&M. It is going to be a fantastic week, and we can't wait to bring you those games next week. Also, like I said last night, we're trying to get Mr. Doyle on the podcast for next week, so be watching out for that. And if you're sitting there and you think, hey, I would love to do this with you guys, we'd love to invite you out to come out and film with us. So if you want to, give us a shout. Worst we could say is no to you, right? So we offering that invitation. But I hope y'all have a great night. As always, it's Saturday on Lotus Lane. We'll see you later.
Thanks, guys.